Hi guys, I've been getting a lot of questions about gear and etc. setup on my Magicka Templar build. So let's talk gear first. I use a willpower fire staff, Torx pack sharpened swords. Staff is also sharpened. There's no specific reason why it's willpower. I would actually much prefer to have a maelstrom fire staff in its place, but maelstrom has not been kind to me, so I don't have one. As far as the other gear, for body pieces I'm using Head and Shoulders, Valken Scoria, Divines. For the rest of it I'm using Twiceborn, Willpower Jewelry. Whenever Minor Slayer gets fixed, which from the time I'm making this video should be tomorrow, I'll be using 2 Willpower Swords, and then in place of the Scoria, I'll be using a Moondancer Head and Shoulder, and then I'll replace 2 of these rings with gold Moondancer rings for the Max Magic, Minor Slayer, and spell damage. As far as stats go, with the current setup on my back bar, unbuffed, I've got 41k Max Magic with 881 Magicka Recovery. I am a vampire, so that is an extra 10%. I'm at stage 4. I use Bystat, Max Health, Max Magic Food, Standard Thief, Shadow, Mundus Stones for Twiceborn. When I am buffed with a Spell Power Pot, my recovery goes up to 1006. My spell damage is 2451. If I were to put Meteor on my back bar, you know, stuff goes up a little bit more. On my front bar, my spell damage is 26, and my max magic and recovery stay about the same. My Templar is also a high elf, so I do get that regen bonus from that. I feel like High Elf is a really good choice for a Magicka Templar for the racial passives. So with a High Elf you get 9% Magic Recovery, 10% Max Magicka, and a 4% Elemental damage bonus. There is some argument right now that Dark Elf is better than High Elf for a Magicka Templar. Personally, I think it's a personal preference. I have always stayed High Elf, and I don't think I will change to Dark Elf anytime soon. Let's talk skills and rotation. So, whenever I'm DPSing, I use Rearming Trap, Inner Light, Radiant Oppression, Puncturing Sweep, Reflective Light, and Meteor on my front bar. Specifically the Shooting Star Morph for the ulti regen. On my back bar, I use Shooting Star again, Blazing Spear, Purifying Light, Blockade of Fire, Channeled Focus, and Inner Light. Depending on the difficulty of the content I'm DPSing, I will sometimes take off Meteor off my back bar and I'll put Solar Prison in its place. Solar Prison for the major maim, which reduces the damage dealt by any enemy inside of it by 30%. Sometimes I'll also take off Purifying Light and I will put Force Pulse on instead. If I'm doing a long range fight such as Rakat or the first boss of Veteran Maw of Lorcaj, I'm typically asked to move to range so the Stam DPS can get in close. So I'll put Force Pulse on its place. As far as a rotation goes, my standard rotation with Purifying Light on the back bar is Trap Beast. I'll pop a Meteor to start the fight. Reflective Light, back bar, Blazing Spear, Purifying Light, Blockade of Elements, swap back to your front bar, sweeps 3 times. I do medium weave the sweep just to proc my enchantments. Reflective Light, your 3 dots on your back bar, sweep another 3 times, and this time you're going to add a Trap Beast in. Every other rotation you need to add Trap Beast because Trap Beast lasts for about 14 seconds. Your rotation is going to take about 7 seconds to cycle through. So by the time you do 2 full rotations, your Trap Beast should be ready to reproc, or be replaced rather. With this rotation, I'm getting about 43 seconds on average on Bloodspawn. My best time is 41 seconds, and my worst time is honestly like 49 with a really sloppy rotation. The cleaner your rotation, obviously, the better your Bloodspawn time is going to be, and the better DPS you're going to put in general. As far as champion points go, I keep 76 points into Elemental Expert, 2 points into Spell Erosion, 22 points into Elfborn, and the remaining 76 into Thaumaturge. Some people question why I put so many into Thaumaturge, and it's simply because as a Templar, almost every skill you're using is considered a dot, and especially your main 2 sources of DPS, which are Sweeps and Radiant Oppression, are both dots, and then you layer that with Reflective Light, Wall of Elements, and Blazing Sphere, which are also all dots, and it's a really nice DPS boost. The 2 points into Spell Erosion is because there's actually something going on with Spell Erosion where if you put a couple points in, it's giving you way more spell penetration than Tooltip says. As far as Red Tree, I like to go 66 into Elemental and Hardy, and then 2 into Thick Skinned with the rest into Quick Recovery. This is what I use for Maelstrom, basic solo content, group dungeons, not trials. I will change my CP specific to whichever trial I'm going into. Specifically, if I'm going into Sanctum Ophidia, there's little to no magic damage. I can only think of one move off the top of my head that's purely magic damage, and that's the Serpent's Eclipse tier on hard mode. So I'll take almost every point out of LE Defender and I'll split it between Hardy. I'll put 98 into Hardy, and then I'll put whatever's left over into Thick Skinned. And if I feel like I still don't have enough in Thick Skinned, I'll take points out of Quick Recovery and put it into Thick Skinned. I also like to change my CP for Maw and Ethereal Archive to be more Magicka damage based. Most of the things in there are Magicka damage. So I will take points out of Hardy and I'll put 98 into Elemental Defender. If I feel like I need some more in Thick Skinned, then I'll take some out of Quick Recovery, put it into Thick Skinned. As far as the green tree goes, I like to have 96 points into Magician. Being a high elf, I don't get any bonuses to reduced cost, so the more I can get my reduced cost down, the better. And then the rest of my points I like to put in Arcanist for an extra 22% recovery. Stacks really nicely being a high elf with the extra 9% and then the 10% from being a vampire. Depending on what I'm doing, I may take 5 out of Arcanist and put it into Tumbling. I very rarely do this. It's just for stuff like PvP or if there's a lot of CCs going out on for whatever reason, if it's like a group dungeon or whatever. It's just nice to have that extra little 3% cost reduction, because especially being a Magicka build, don't have a lot of stamina to play with. I think that is about it. If you all have any questions or comments, anything that you'd like me to answer, any particular questions on why I do something the way I do, please let me know, and I will try to get back to you. Thanks for watching.